VBS Mutual Bank never donated money to the party directly, but there is a company called Vele that owns VBS that at one point bought a table at one of the ruling party's fundraising activities. VBS, of course, you'll know, was placed under curatorship by the South African Reserve Bank earlier this year amid allegations of mismanagement and fraud. In fact, the Reserve Bank has now applied for liquidation of the VBS Bank. Mashatile tried to set the record straight on donations to the ANC and other political matters inside the party. Well, we're joined now by our SABC reporter, Mzwandile Mbeje. Mzwandile, a number of issues there in your discussion with Paul Mashatile. Let's start with the hot button issue. 2 million rand was the headline at the weekend from the Sunday Times. Did they receive it? Did they not?
In fact, Bongani, we asked that question directly. Did you receive the 2 million rand? And then he says their records show that the only money that they received, actually not even from Vele, but not even from VBS, but from Vele, is 250,000. But then he goes on to say there is this money that may have been donated either through catering, and of course we had in other platforms basically saying for local government elections. So basically that money, if it was received, and it does appear they admitted that it was received, but interestingly, Bongani, that was not recorded, because the only thing that was recorded as far as the TG is saying is 250,000.
So they did receive a sum of money, but he won't commit to how much it was.
Yes.
Because the allegation was that it hadn't been received or sent to them directly, but through a supplier, a service provider aligned to the governing party.
Absolutely, that's what he's saying. Given that obviously as the TG's office, he needs to work from evidence-based stories, so to speak. And then what he has in front of him, as the new TG, is that it reflects only 250,000. But there was this 2 million, really, which he apparently may have confirmed with the former TG, Mzwandile Mbeje, that they did, during the local government elections, they did receive this money.
Well, it raises a number of questions because, of course, Mzwandile Mbeje issued a categoric denial of any receipt of funds, or at least facilitation thereof, to the tune of 2 million rand. He certainly said he has never promised anyone that he would be raising money for deposits from municipalities into VBS.
Interestingly, yes. But I think what perhaps, I don't know whether it's the confusion, because we're speaking about VBS here, but they would say it's not VBS. They would say we may have got it from Vele.
Who got it from?
But Vele got it from VBS. So I think in the minds of ordinary persons, it would be VBS. So,
right. I mean, look, the ANC is speaking really with a forked tongue on a number of issues. You saw also in that clip, as you were reporting, he says that the issue of taking the party to court has caught up with Supra Mahumapelo. But you and I were at Nasrec, where the party said that members may not go to court to deal with internal party matters.
I think what he tried, because we also tried to probe him on that one, to say, but that's what you've been saying. And then he says, as the ANC, they cannot then do things that are against the Constitution. As much as they discourage that practice, they can never definitely say you can't, because that will be taking the right of ordinary South Africans, and that will be against the Constitution of this country.
So when it suits them, don't, but when perhaps it doesn't, well, there you go. Right, our breaking news story at this hour: the president has dismissed Tom Moyane as the commissioner of SARS. I mean, he had earlier described himself as the best commissioner in the democratic era. He said he wasn't the devil incarnate, wrote a fiery letter to the president rubbishing the interim report by Judge Nugent, and the president not buying it. Bye-bye, game over.
It became clear, Bongani, that the relations had become what you call irretrievably broken down. I mean, even if the president were to be convinced otherwise, given that preliminary recommendation from Judge Nugent that he needed to fire him, so the president basically was left with no option, so he had to do it. And remember, he has promised that he needs to really clean up and start again. So I think that was the logical course of action that he could possibly take, given the circumstances and the conditions that prevail currently, and what he seeks to do. Last week, he held the investment summit, assuring investors that all is well. So, and then he wants to be seen to be taking action, and actually he is taking action.
Indeed, there's an investment summit right now. You saw earlier on our show, and Bryce Pease speaking to the Public Enterprises Minister, Pravin Gordhan. The Finance Minister is in New York drumming up support. The President himself was speaking at the Discovery Leadership Summit today. The theme, again, being investment. Right, we'll have to leave it there. Mzwandile Mbeje reporting, of course, on a number of issues. The Treasurer General of the African National Congress saying that, yeah, there is money that was received by the party from funds that flowed out of VBS. Not confirming a figure, but it's certainly a story that has a number of political parties tied in knots as they try to explain their involvement in the VBS saga. Stay with us.